Okay, so apparently I was making it more complicated than it needed to be. All I needed to do was pick up a rock, one of those things there, and then throw it at the chain up there. So yeah, I was making it a lot more complicated than it needed to be. So yeah, we're just gonna continue. Trying to make sure I land these jumps.
9th of August, 1839. It is still early, and Alexander is busy preparing for the ritual later today. Seeing him this worked up makes me question why. What does he stand to gain? I realize he is curious about it all, but surely there must be more. Is he so foolish he will attempt to tame the power of the orb? I must admit that yesterday, when Alexander flooded the inner sanctum with blue light, I realized we had but graced the orb's true potential. This might turn out to be more than escaping a creeping shadow. It might be the beginning of something truly extraordinary.
Maybe. Heard that. Oh, there he goes. Oh. Here, or do I need something else? I'm guessing I'm done here. Let's go the other way. Crap. Whoops. Whoops. maybe I have to simulate how they look on this side. So the middle is like, so we're up there. The left is kind of up, and the right is sort of up. So I haven't figured out what I was supposed to do with that. There's always something really small though that I didn't notice. It's usually what it is. Oh, I got it. I did it. No way. I did it right. I Kind of dangerous. I have an idea. It worked. It was just an idea. Crazy idea I had. Mr. Krabs, I have an idea.
Do you see, Daniel? It has yielded. What? The shadow. Has? For now. Come, let's get this out of here so we can get some peace.
Yes, let's. Where to?
Just down the corridor, to the morgue.
Are there more dead men there?
You did well, Daniel. Come, let's get going.
Alexander, along with Daniel, makes up the foundation for the entire story. Together they make the core conflict. There was a lot of background for this character, as he is in a sense the villain, so I wanted to do everything that I could to make him likable and have people sympathize with him. It's just the best way to make a bad guy. If we can have the player feel for their opponent, they might start questioning their own actions. Alexander's story is quite interesting in its own right, but in the end it was important to have the story deal with the relationship between Daniel and Alexander. That's why there is so much about the last few weeks and so little about the history of Alexander. Because after all, since we're playing Daniel and he seemed to want to get back at Alexander, we the player want to know how bad he really was and decide for ourselves if we think he should be punished.
Strange deaths among servants and prisoners have finally been resolved. Seems that the drain sewer, which has recently been opened up for use as a means of transport, is plagued by a particular poisonous fungi. Victims seem to have suffered an extremely quick outbreak of sickness, affecting the entire body. Some of my men, including myself, are blissfully spared by this calamity, but it is clear that this cripples my progress. The prisoners die quickly, and they're contaminated to me by today lack the energy I need. I shall immediately start working on a vaccine. Vaccine enabling my men to work in a fungi-ridden sewer is a definite success. Unfortunately, only a few of the servants have been remedied as the procedure proved difficult. The others will perish, and eventually I will have to create more of them to create my experiments going. Note that an injection of vaccinated blood will work as a shield long enough to pass the sewers without any risk of infection. It will do fine for prisoner transport. I fear for Daniel, for he is reckless. He is tainted by the approaching sorrow and will not be able to pass the gate. Will he be able to accept this in the end? My love, I have seen evil in him. How am I to trust him with the truth? What cruel irony that I have to do unto him, what Agrippa did unto me.
I hear you breathing, Daniel. Do you hear me? Have you changed your mind?
As with the cistern, this takes the player closer to Daniel's dark past. It was important here that the corpses did not have the normal gory shock value, but was more true to reality and disturbing. We really wanted to approach this stuff with respect and not just show it in an exploitative fashion. I hope that shows when you play the game.
Let's go the other way.
The flashback of the guy trapped is actually inspired by true events. During the bubonic plague outbreaks, people were buried so quickly that it was not always checked that they were probably dead. This meant that people sometimes woke up, finding themselves locked up and entombed, surrounded by corpses. Scratches on doors and walls of such rooms have been found, confirming that it did happen.
Crazy.
What happened? I don't know. He's dead. Where am I? What's happening? Help! Anybody! Help!
Copper tube.
3 days now. This is ridiculous. Why doesn't someone get to this room? Hey! Anybody! Am I all alone here? Help! Help! I'm so tired. If I sleep, I'll wait for this nightmare. If not, I pray my Heavenly Father will take me in my sleep.
We're good. Let's take it down. Other side. More bodies. It's definitely nice. It's very nice. Copper tube. gotta be something I missed.
Deserved it, that little bitch.
Where's the piece? Oh. Well, there you go. Why not? Now what do I do with it? infected myself with it? Is it? Didn't know was that something. You think? Still there? How the fuck am I supposed to get away from it? You won't leave that area. Make the monster so crazy. Sorry if it's a little hazy and I'm saying I'm used to it. And that's deep. So you become sad or you become angry. ape shit.
Somehow, every adventurer finds himself in a sewer at some point in his life, and Daniel is no different. Usually these levels tend to be a bit dull, but this one turned out rather okay. Quite a step up from the last sewer level I did in Penumbra Requiem. It was supposed to be a blue tinted level with a feeling of being cold and damp, but it stood out too much to really fit in with the other level. We settled for a green tint on the brown dungeon set, as it worked nicely as a transition between the system's green stones and the brown torture nave level.
Here was my first job at Frictional Castle.
What's happening? What are you doing? Let me go! Please, don't take me! Nobody ever return!
This here was my first job at Frictional Castle. I must say that I like working on script, but that's probably because I love anything that looks or feels like programming. Scripting puzzles does not involve just writing a plain script. You also get to edit entities, create particle systems, set up stuff like areas and entities in the level to support the script. It's actually a lot of fun, and it allows for quite a bit of creativity. This particular puzzle is about having to jam a can of water mill to be able to get through it. But it first needs to be slowed down somehow.
What the fuck that was? Ah, looks like the escape ladder. Controls the mill rotation speed. There is not much to say about this part. Just a couple levers that change some values when moved, and do stuff when the right value is set. As you might already know, playing around with the combination of both levers, you can notice a background sound change. At the time of working on this, there was no proper sound available for this background sound, so I just picked some placeholders from what was in there already. I thought the peaky sound that is heard when the elevator falls down could do a nice one for the medium speed. How wrong I was. It was unbearable to say the least, so I just ended up removing all placeholders and leaving a turbo note in the script.
see here can be broken to be used later to join the meal. It's actually a model with two bodies joined by a hinge joint. To do this part of the puzzle, I first made it so you could break the joint at some point when pulled, but this just felt really strange. So I just asked James how we were doing this kind of stuff in the game, and he told me to just add some area that counted hits in the script. So every time the pipe collided with this area, certain variable was increased by 1. If you enable the debug window, you can see this area with activating the draw physics debug option. When this variable reached a given value, it triggers the breakage of the pipe, spawning the broken pipe item, and that's how it works.
Pipe. Now, what do I do with pipe? Close. Thanks game. One of the barricades per se we could risk. That be something else.
When I was looking at the concept art of Brute Monster, I thought that it should sound like one long tone, which is coming from tube. Because it doesn't have mouth, it should sound like hollow thing, which can't make clear and complex vocalization. Firstly, I recorded lots of different kind of dogs and I edited them to play as one tone. I had lots of discussion with Jens and I think I got the right idea, but there was feeling that it was coming too close and it wasn't scary and blah blah blah. So it wasn't really scary, it was just big mess. I think I made something like 5 or 6 different versions, but problems didn't go away. Finally, I just removed the dog sounds and used my own voice. I made it with old metal sync, speaking through the tube and putting the microphone in front of the sync. That way I got more control on the vocalization, and tube kind of sound was natural because it was coming from actual tube. I think Brute's movements were the easiest ones for me. I knew from the beginning how I wanted it to sound. I wanted it to be very metallic, since it has lots of metallic things in its body, and it should be very heavy, scary guy. I was a little bit worried about how the high-pitched screeching would work, but it actually turned out great with the music, because the music is very low frequency and movement is high frequency, so there is nice spectre of sound. Together they make Brute even scarier.
Glad he's dead though. He's a dick. Gross. Excuse me. All in. It sounds like big bad animals. Yeah, you think? I thought he was behind the door. I didn't know where he was. so much. He's even worse than the first guy. Maybe a little worse than the water worker too. Well, the water worker probably sucks too. Gonna stand there. I'm just gonna stand there. Can he move? He's gonna stand there, he's not gonna move at all. Fuck it, let's give it a shot. Damn. Create a distraction. How do I create a distraction? There's nothing to throw. And he's standing right there. I don't have time. Yeah, he's just gonna stand right there like a prick.
After almost 2 years of continuous development of the editor, this was my very baptism of fire in level creation. My first big level edited ever, that is. Making the base for this level was my assignment for week 8 this year, and I must confess, I was pretty excited about it all. You know, not ever having used the editors in a real life run, I was wondering how well I was going to do.
Let's see.
A good thing about me using the tools I am dedicated to develop is that I could get a close view on how they feel when working with them. And it's easier and quicker to get bugs fixed when working like this. as they usually get in the middle of the way and the only solution is just getting your hands dirty and fix them. This also works well for small features that don't take much time to add. I'm not sure which one I added from working on this level, but it usually starts like thinking, oh, being able to do this or that would be really nice, and ends up with the feature in the editor. Not everything works like this, you know. I actually have an endless list of stuff to add to the editor, but there is always so little time. It will come eventually, that's for sure, or maybe not.
Agrippa, I need you to stay awake. Can you feel the syringe?
No, I can't feel anything. Alexander?
Yes.
Soon, I won't even be able to move, will I?
Your life is safe.
I don't doubt. But anything must be.
Yes, I do now. So let's try the other 3 doors that I didn't go.
August 1839. I can't stop sweating and shaking. The warding ritual was not something of a sane mind. I did not even realize the dungeon was still in use. Alexander had his servants bring one of the prisoners, a murderer, he told me. Alexander made all the arrangements, but he said I had to perform the ritual in order to have the right effect. The shadow could be led astray by the blood of another. Killing the man would provide us precious time. What else could I do? Alexander said it had to be done. He is saving my life. I don't have the luxury of argument.
Luxury of argument. Which means, yeah, open up there. Except for that one, then again. Which means I had to go down there regardless, and then I have to come back up. Alright, let's do it.
The Agrippa Awaken sequence is inspired by the movie 7, when they find the slot thief. I thought that scene was really disturbing, so it stuck to me. When writing the design of the Agrippa event, it came to mind instantly. A fun thing about Agrippa is that it was first supposed to be a severed head that was placed at several locations in the game. It then later turned into the guy that is in the game now. If you wonder why he does not have a lower jaw, then that's because we did not have the resources for voice sync. It was then worked into the story though, as Alexander does not want him talking when he shouldn't.
told Thomas that I wanted a character that the player could look at, or at least know that someone was talking to him right now, as in no flashbacks, no ghosts, or memories. Just something solid the player could depend on being real. However, a character is really expensive stuff. You need a voice, a model, textures, animations, behavior. So we finally came up with this idea about a stationary character so we could cut down on animations and behavior. At this time, Agrippa was just a character, a real historical character actually, I had used as the writer for a letter found in the first stages of the game. But we upgraded him and made him a part of the plot. The reason I find him so valuable is that he joined the ranks of Daniel and Alexander, making this so much more complex and intriguing. And of course, it also quite naturally led to the split ending thing.
Back on the level editing was an interesting experience to say the least. I started with the room with the door leading to level 22 and made my way up from there. I managed to build a reasonable base in a bit over a week's time. It took a bit long, having into account that not all models needed for the level were available at the time I started working on it, and that, blaming my inexperience in level building, I had to remake some parts a lot of time, like the room I started with. It was Marcus who took the level from where I left it, and I must say he did an awesome job. I'm not sure how much of my original work still stands in there, but the final version looks really sweet. I didn't get more level creation assignments after this one, possibly because I am actually more productive in other kinds of tasks, but I'm happy I had the chance to try.
Let's not go for it. Let's go upstairs. Neat.
I know this. I've been here already. I know this taste. The taste of Damascus rose obfuscating the truth with a dim name. They may sweep the traces from my memory, but my body remembers. These cuts speak volumes, even though my mind remains silent. They'll be back. Oh, they will be back.
In this level, it is easily done to not see the whole level. If you have all the orb pieces when coming here, you will get captured at the start and will not get a chance to see the rest of the level. There is a whole area to the east consisting of 2 very detailed rooms, so if you end up being captured on your first visit, make sure to come visit again.
Maybe she knows.
Very cool.
just a little further.
It's like Orpheus descending into the underworld.
Are you hiding something?
What do you mean?
Never mind. Your intuition is remarkable.
I'm not sure I'm following.
It doesn't matter. It's just a myth after all.
Torture Chancel was an interesting level. It made a clear break from all the claustrophobic tunnels that make up the majority of our levels. It also presented a challenge since we had to fill that space with interesting pieces and still be able to run it on older computers. The idea of the level is to give the player a sense of what is to come, and to give them a feeling that maybe all this was here, even before Alexander built his castle. As a contrast to the mystic shrines, we have an electric barrier in the back of the level. The idea and design of this bit is an homage to the movie Event Horizon.
This is so interesting. I really like this game. Puzzles, the lore. The exploration is probably my favorite part of the game.
August 1839. Banishment ritual is taking longer than expected, and we have to do what is needed. I spend my time helping out the prisoners. Being around these degenerates makes me ill. None of them even tries to face their punishment with any kind of dignity. They taunt me with their lies of innocence and their cowardly pleas of mercy. What can make a man fall so far from the grace of a civilized existence? They are all wicked men, and I remind myself of it constantly. Still, I am thankful for God sending these monsters our way, as they will serve as the instruments of my salvation. I try to study the different tools in the torture chamber and learn how to use them effectively. Last time was messy, and the effect suffered from my inexperience. When the next warding is to be performed, I shall be ready.
Oh yeah. All is lost. I must once again start over. Ever since I recovered the orb first found by Agrippa, I have depended on it for my research. The incident with Wilhelm made me most impetuous, fearing a plasticity of prisoners. I proceeded with the final ritual without proper foresight. The orb cracked and fell into 6 parts. I have tried everything, but have yet to mend the thing. Unless I can think of a way to piece it together, I will have to find another. There is still life in the pieces, even if the orb isn't restored. I might be able to salvage some of its power for some other purpose. Entries have passed in vain, and I begin to wonder if I will ever be able to see my love again. How much longer can I sustain my life? Oh, that's a good question, bro.
To question me. Is this guilt I'm witnessing then? If so, blame yourself. You started this. You sent me that letter asking for help, and this is how you repay me? How dare you? These cells are meant to hold prisoners who are under treatment. The people you send for will end up here. Remember that confinement itself works as a preamble to the torture, and you should pace yourself. Don't take anyone before they are ready. Understood. Sounds from the torture chambers are shuttled in through those pipes in the ceiling. Manage your victims well, and let one prisoner's pain instill terror in his cellmate.
Switch. Next to me.
message?
Help me. Switch.
Apparently my controller is dying. We're gonna fix that. Do I use the tar on him? I wonder.
Help me.
I agree, but does need that. Trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do now.
Who's the switch?
Kinda don't want to pull the switch, but
Next to me.
seems like I don't really have a choice.
Thank you. You have my gratitude. My name is Griffin. Who might you be? Daniel? Like the prophet thrown into the lion's den? Tell me, are you among the lions, Daniel? You want to stop Alexander? Oh my, so Babylon shall fall, you say. You worry too much. Alexander is toothless without an arm. Yes, that's not very promising at all. The sanctum is basically...
Sorry.
But this is my home. It could be breached by another, but Alexander broke his, my home, a long time ago. Really? Then if you tell the truth, by all means, seek out the pieces of the broken wall and mend away. I believe he uses them for torture now. They practically leak matter, which is quite useful, I understand. There should be 6 of them. Look around the fire and the transit. You should be able to find them there. Daddy, I hate to bother you further, but if you're really going after Alexander, would you consider taking me with you? I know it sounds ridiculous. I mean, look at me. But if you find anything concerning a man named Johann Reiner, would you please bring it to me? I believe he was working on a way to help him. A recipe for some sort of potion, a tonic to free me from this husk of mine. What lever? Oh, that one. So many of Alexander's things are breaking down. Look around. Make us answer. There are machine watching all over this place. You'll find a way to fix it. I'm Heinrich Cornelius Agrippi. That was once quite important to me. Baron Alexander has sustained my soul in this dead hot for years. Well, anyway, hundreds I presume.
I said have a look around which two parts? That's not one of the parts he said. Essential. There must be something essential. well, I'm going to end it here. Thank you for watching this crazy circus, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.